You're listening to the Leaping Choya podcast recorded in the Wrong Mountain Yurt in the Sonoran Desert.
I am falling away from this world. I am falling away from this world.
Okay, we're going. We're in the middle of section 110, I believe. Not in the middle, but we're in section 110, right? Still? Yeah. We're deep in section...
I'm not sure. There's like numerous numberings.
Yeah, we're deep in section 110. And we're in a subsection that starts with that which pertains to the concept of idealism.
Yeah.
Page 167.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Of Contributions to Philosophy of the Event by Martin Heidegger. So go ahead.
That which pertains to the concept of idealism. 1. The idea as the presencing of the what and as the constancy of such presencing. But this is not grasped and incurs forgottenness, and through misinterpretation it becomes the ens entium as eternum. 2. Logos, but not yet fixed in the I, instead soul, life. 3. Nonetheless predelineated thereby the perceptum, which is represented, what can be
What
brought,
is represented?
What is represented, what can be brought before oneself, what is present of a precipere, which is ego precipio as cogito me cogitare, the co-representing of oneself as that to whom something is represented, and that in whose sight and countenance the look of something appears. 4. Representedness of an objectivity, and self, I, certainty as the ground of objectivity, i.e. the ground of beingness, being and thinking.
Yeah, so I guess he's sort of dissecting the idea of idealism here, and trying to give it some parameters different than its normal designations. One being, I guess, sort of always looking at the, always looking for the better or the improved, and the other being, in philosophy, the idea that everything is subjective, solipsism, everything that exists is just ideas. And the idea as the presencing of the what and as the constancy of such presencing. So idea here is form or essence, and central to the idea of idealism is that form or essence is the presencing of something and implies its constancy. But he points out that this is not grasped and incurs forgottenness, and through misinterpretation it becomes the ens entium as aeternum. I'm not quite sure what that Latin means. I think it just means becomes the ultimate and eternal end. So, I guess here the form as the presencing of something and its constancy is nevertheless not grasped and incurs forgottenness. So I suppose that means that we sort of don't understand it as such. We use ideas, we use the idea, we use the form, we use the essence as constancy and presencing of something, but we forget that it implies that. And so we then misinterpret it and other things as an absolute and an absolute and eternal end. idealism involves logos, but not yet fixed in the I, instead more as the soul, or as in a sense, the anima, or the living aspect of being. And then we have, some more talk about the perceptum and what is perceived, the self perceiving itself. Self is in whose sight the self exists, that which appears to itself, and representedness as objectivity. So just aspects of the idealistic worldview. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that. Why don't we just roll on?
15. So this is now numbering back to an earlier section. So 15. In the sense of the strictly historical concept of idealism, Plato was never an idealist. Rather, he was a realist, which does not mean that he did not deny the external world in itself. It means instead that he taught the idea as the essence of beings, the realitas of the res.
Yeah, the reality of the thing.
Yet idealism, precisely in its modern guise, is indeed Platonism, inasmuch as modern idealism also maintains that beingness must be grasped in terms of representing, i.e., under Aristotelian influences, in terms of logos as thinking through, i.e., in terms of thinking, which according to Kant is the representing of something in general categories, and the table of judgments, categories, and the self-knowledge of reason for Hegel. All in all, the paradigm for the entire history of Western philosophy, Nietzsche included, being and thinking. Although Nietzsche experiences beings as becoming, he is an opponent who still remains inside the traditional framework with this interpretation. Beings are simply interpreted differently, but the question of being is never posed as such.
Yeah, we've heard a little bit of this earlier, talking about Plato's idealism versus his realism, and what idealism and realism mean in that context. Heidegger's claiming that Plato here was a realist, but that does not mean that he did not deny that the external world exists, or exists in itself, because he did. It means instead that he taught the idea as the essence of beings, the form. He taught that form is the essence of beings, or of being, and it is the reality of the thing. So the form is what is real about the thing. Yet idealism, precisely in its modern guise, is indeed Platonism, inasmuch as modern idealism also maintains that beingness must be grasped in terms of representing. So that's going back to that earlier definition of idealism that I mentioned. Philosophical idealists in the modern sense maintain that basically only representations have being, and must be grasped in terms of representing. In other words, to grasp reality, to grasp things, we must simply think through them, and grasp the logos of them, and therefore thinking becomes being, which is, as he says, a very Kantian and Hegelian notion, and something that even Nietzsche, who prided himself on rebelling against Kant and Hegel, maintained, because Nietzsche took the assumption of being and thinking being interchangeable for granted, and failed to carry out an analysis of being that would separate it from thinking, or at least lay the foundations of determining being in and of itself without linking it to thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
16. If we consider that the predominance of Platonism in its various orientations and forms now also governs, in fact, especially for Nietzsche, the view of pre-Platonic philosophy, then we can see the significance attached to the decisive interpretation of being as idea, and thereby also to the question of what genuinely took place here.
Yeah. Then we can see the significance attaching to the decisive interpretation of being as form. Yeah, I mean, not much to say there. I mean, Platonism, in its various orientations and forms, governs how pre-Platonic philosophy is seen, obviously, and we can see in these interpretations the decisive interpretation of being as form, which is a very that form is the arbiter of being, very Platonic idea. Yeah, okay, keep going, I guess, huh?
17. At issue in these considerations is not a history of Platonism in the sense of a series of doctrinal views as variations on Platonic theory. At issue is solely the history of the ways of dealing with the guiding question under the essential dominance of Platonism, with the task of playing over from the first to the other beginning. Platonism understood accordingly the concept of that questioning of being which asks about the beingness of beings and places being, grasped in this way into relation with representing thinking, being and thinking, the title for the history of thought within the first and the other beginning.
Yeah, he's just pointing out here, I'm not trying to just give a reinterpretation of Platonism. What I'm trying to point out is that as we attempt to think about being, Platonism is a thought template that stands in our way, that we work from within, and our goal is to understand being separate from thinking, and to question being and the beingness of beings, and being itself, to grasp them in a way that they can be unrelated to representing or thinking, or to at least grasp being and thinking as a more dynamic and less assumed relationship than has heretofore been established, and to make this thinking about being and thinking instrumental in moving from the first to the other beginning. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going. We're making good time.
18. An essential supplement to this history is the exposition of the history of truth, the history of its all too early collapse and of its transformation into correctness and adequatio, and from there into certainty. This history then leads to the corresponding disregard of the question of truth. Finally, in Nietzsche, only the question of the value of truth, a genuinely Platonizing question. Everything far removed from the task of questioning the essence of truth as such, in its most intimate relation to the truth of being, and thus to being itself.
Yeah, so he's touched on this before, the history of truth, the all too early collapse of truth, and the ignoring of truth, and of its transformation into correctness, adequation, and certainty. This history leads to the corresponding disregard of the question of truth, and so truth is not only disregarded, but then in Nietzsche, instead of asking about truth, Nietzsche simply obsesses over the value of truth. How important is it? How valuable is it? And this is all far removed from the task of questioning the essence of truth in its most intimate relation to the truth of being, and thus to being itself. he's talked about this before, about the need to look more deeply at what truth is and the essence of truth and the being of truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always really liked this pathway that he draws of truth into correctness. And what is adequation, or what is that in, like, it's adequate, or it's...
Adequatio, I would say, is adequation, but that means that essentially means
sort of,
in a sense, it's correspondence.
right? Yeah. Okay.
So truth becomes a matter of what one's words correspond to, and if they correspond truthfully to it. Typical example is like if you say the snow is white, and you look and the snow is white, then there's an adequation between your statement the snow is white and the fact that the snow is white, and so then you're speaking truth. And so then you can become certain of things, and you speak correctly, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first saw this especially, I just thought that was like amazing. I'd never seen truth put that way, and I never thought that it was a questionable thing that it was put that way.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment to think, well, what could truth be? I mean, if it's not correctness and certainty and adequation, I mean, I guess his answer is truth is clearing, concealing, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Truth
it's
is
definitely part of it.
coming to
the
be.
revealing and concealing of things. So it's not always there for you to say that's the truth. You know, it comes and goes.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is the clear and concealing is definitely a very phenomenalist view of truth. I mean, I guess essentially anything that appears to you becomes the true. It's true in its appearance. The appearance is true. It's less about adequations between propositions and observations. Of course, the adequational theory of truth is as many people have pointed out, is pretty problematic and circular. I mean, the snow is white example kind of points that out, right?
How?
Well, to say the snow is white, okay, right? You make the statement the snow is white, and then you look and the snow is white. And so then what you've said is now true. Well, depends on, I guess the question is kind of what is that truth? How is that really what we want to say truth is, which is just basically like
A fact statement? Or...
Yeah, our statements lined up with observations that, I mean, it feels a little circular. I mean, it also feels a little limited, I suppose. I mean, I think there's an idea that truth is supposed to be, I don't know what, how should we say, bigger than us or external to us or more established than our propositional logic. Is the snow actually white? You know, those kind of things. Or how do we know the snow is white? Or do we only see the snow as white because we think the snow is white? And also, like, I mean, white is obviously a category that has some blurry edges, and snow is not always white. Sometimes snow is yellow, sometimes snow is black. So, yeah, it's just kind of a narrow, limited sense of truth. I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah. And also, just to something you said earlier, I feel like it's not just that anything that reveals itself to you is truth, because I think there's this element that it also has to then conceal. So like if something is always present, such as the snow is white as an always present statement, maybe that's not really, doesn't really have a relation to truth. Maybe it's more of like a fact, I don't know, or some other kind of thing, but it doesn't.
That's
I'm not
interesting.
sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it does seem like the penchant is to then establish like the snow is white. It becomes, snow is white, and that becomes an essential attribute of snow, an essential fact of snow. The essence of snow is whiteness, and then we see that snow is white, and we line up, but in seeing snow is white is always a very particular moment. There's a little bit of snow, it's white, and we line it up with that essence, which definitely puts us in the habit of establishing truth according to essences. That's true. Is that what you mean?
I think also
Let me one more thing, because I guess I was trying to point out that, like the snow is white is the constant perpetual presence of the essence of fact.
The proposition.
It's like an absolute truism. And then we run around and we appropriate moments and events into that absolute truism. So truth kind of flows from an essential value to an existential moment. And that sets up avenues and conduits for the way that our thought is supposed to work. And it does require kind of a permanent presence of some kind of essential truth. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
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 I mean, I think also adequation, the adequation theory of truth is also very dependent on things you can observe, whereas a lot of truths we say are not necessarily dependent on direct observables. They're dependent on, which is, I think that's, as I think about it, that's another theory of truth, is that I think it's called the coherency theory of truth, where things are true. Again, only statements are true in all these theories of truth. Statements are true if they are coherent and they accord with a bunch of other propositions that are held as true. All right, so then you can avoid the needing to have direct empirical evidence of a truth to say that if you have a coherent body of logical propositions, then and they all work together, then they're all true. That they're kind of built on each other, and obviously there's a lot of circularity there too. So I don't know. I guess this is all to say that the whole clearing, concealing truth is clearing, concealing. It's not something I really, I think I understand at this point. What that, I mean, is it just that? Again, I think at a phenomenal level, if I'm here and something appears, and then it disappears, and let's say that's the thought. Oh, this sandwich tastes good, right? The sense of tasting good, a sandwich tasting good, right? That is true. So it's a sensation. Let's say a deer jumps in front of my car and then skips away. And so is that the kind of clearing and concealing we're talking about? Or and the deer, it's truly there. It's true. The deer is true. There it is. What is this clearing, concealing that he talks about? I mean,
I often think about it in terms of anxiety thoughts. So it's like, something terrible could happen as a thought that sort of can come or can be there, can be drawn upon any time at any moment, but it doesn't necessarily be, so the ability for or the ability for it to have constant presence doesn't have a relation to its truth. So that it's there doesn't have a relation to its truth, and the nature, the idea that it is can be thought of any time. Like if you can think of a thought at any point, then is it really related to truth? Whereas I guess when I think about truth, I often think of maybe insights from podcasting or something, which will, I guess, reveal and then conceal themselves. So they'll reveal and then they'll kind of go away. And then trying to get them to reveal again, it's not like reliable. You can't be like, oh, I'll just read this line or think, or rethink this thought, because it has this kind of cumulative
That's interesting.
Opening idea. So those are two ways I think about that.
Well, one question that makes me ask is this clearing concealing, is this that there's a clearing and then there's a concealing, or do the clearing and concealing occur at the same moment? For instance, I was thinking of the example of say the woman who follows her husband to work and sees that he instead drove to his lover's house, right? The minute she sees that his car pulls into that driveway, he's a cheater. And like the truth of him being a cheater is like there's a clearing, right? Something is cleared away. He's no longer like faithful. Now he's a cheater. And so yet he is concealed by that as well. Like there's a concealing. All of a sudden everything else he is, or his faithfulness or whatever, is now hidden and now gone. Like there's a kind of it's like a screen is put over him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we know yet. Is it simultaneous or is it like sequential?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think
but again, but say that she sees him pulling the driveway and all of a sudden he's a cheater. She runs up to confront, and she knows he's a cheater. She runs up to confront him, and it turns out he's pulled into his coworker's house to pick him up to drive him to work. And all of a sudden now he's not a cheater. So was it true that he was a cheater when she thought he was pulling up to his lover's house? That's what I mean, is like the clearing and concealing seems to kind of just say whatever you think is true is true. Which I'm not sure Heidegger would want to say, although he might.
Yeah, I don't know.
But going back to what you said, I like what you said about that maybe anything that has constant presence, that does not participate in the clearing and concealing of the event, cannot actually be true. That truth is more momentous, phenomenal, event-based, and that holding true isms is never holding on to the truth. I feel like Heidegger might agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's like why mantras I don't find very useful.
Right.
But I guess some people do, apparently. But
Yeah,
I've never really found them
person.
very. Yeah.
Why don't you like mantras?
I think that like reading a mantra somehow doesn't help me hook into whatever the feeling or belief I'm supposed to have from it is.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll take notes, I'll like write things down and I'll try to, almost use them as mantras to revisit them. But I just find like revisiting isn't the same. I just never find it as like powerful, I guess, as the first time or the first insight or maybe the first revealing and concealing. And maybe that's not 100% true. Like I do feel like I can reread something or revisit something and feel like it's revealing and concealing again. But overall, I would say like just like reading a line, like what we were talking about in a recent episode, be here now. Like to me, and there's a lot of like the mom mantras, which is like if your kid is upset, you're supposed to stop and breathe and say, my kid is like I'm a good mom, but my kid is having a hard time or something like that. Like there's some mantra you're supposed to say. And I've just never found them helpful. Like I've tried to I want them to be helpful, but I've never found them helpful for me. So, and I just wonder if it's sort of related to this idea that like, that if they're constantly present and available as a mantra, they just lose, I don't know, some truth.
Yeah, I think that's actually a super cool point. I mean, I would totally agree with you actually about mantras. I mean, I think if you look at a mantra and the way mantras are used and what the drive seems to be with a mantra, it seems to be that through repetition, intention, sound, often communion, you're trying to plug into or convince yourself of an absolute truth and somehow gain power. Not only boast. You're supposed to be. I've never quite understand if I'm supposed to be bolstering it, like I'm chanting my team name to give my team power, or I'm supposed to be getting power from it. So am I providing it with power? Is it giving me power? But either way, the power always seems to disappear really quickly.
You feel that too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do mantras. No, they're insipid, and I think it's just because that I think you really hit it on the head. I mean, I think the idea is that you're supposed to get closer and more infused with and more empowered by and more communalized with the truth of the mantra that is an absolute ever-present truth. And in a sense, you're trying to force adequation. Say the mantra is like, I am a good person, right? And the whole affirmation thing, right?
Yeah, affirmations.
You're trying to force the truth of the adequation, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, I am a good person, I am a good person. You say it over and over again. And then you're supposed to continually sort of look outside yourself and see yourself in the world. And sooner or later, finally, you establish that adequation, and you see all your actions as being those of a good person. And now that's true. So this is obviously repetitive madness. I mean, it's just, it's like talking yourself into something. It's convincing yourself of a non-truth by establishing an essential constant truism that then the whole world starts to pattern itself after, because you've just kind of put on the right glasses, right? I mean, it's and so if you think about that mantra template like that, that's a really good example of like truth as the clearing, concealing. And I think what Heidegger is saying is that, you know, if you detach life and reality and events from these mantric essential truths, then more particular instantaneous truths start occurring, and you start relating with them, and you live more immediately with bang. I also think there's something interesting in the theater. Theater is it's the relaying of written words through speech to listeners. And so you have the written word, and then you have the deliverance of that written word, and then you have the listeners. And in the theater, you can have times where someone says, for instance, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think of that as a true statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But an actor can say it in such a way where it doesn't sound like it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's not said truly. The audience doesn't, even all the words we use for it, the audience doesn't believe the actor. The director will always say to the actor, I don't believe you when you say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, the truism of the statement doesn't live truthfully in the moment of an actor speaking it truly unless the actor does that. So there's these strata of the way truth travels in our world. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or any kind of truism like that doesn't really have any truth unless it's relayed truthfully, which is always in the moment.
Yeah, I think the one other thing I want to mention is I feel like hasn't occurred to me until now, but I feel like mantras and intrusive thoughts have a lot in common, actually, in that they like are both a sort of, I mean, they can both be sort of a constant presence.
Intrusive thoughts are like the evil twin of
exactly.
mantras.
Yeah. Just kind of.
Yeah, mantras are like welcome repetition, and,
exactly.
Intrusive thoughts are unwelcome repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, Freudianism would say that they're therefore the same thing. I mean, they're just mirrored, inverted images of each other, on both sides of the ego. One the superego, one the id, bashing at the ego, saying me first. But it's the same thing. They're just counterfeits of each other, and symptoms of each other in a way. That a world of mantras conjures a world of intrusive thoughts. Because again, I think we need a mantras are used very specifically in sort of Eastern religious practices, but I mean, mantras are, mantras are affirmations, mantras are choral responses, mantras are memes, mantras are the things we say to ourselves every day, right?
Yeah, the party line response.
Yeah, the party line response, exactly.
Something.
Mantras are all the truisms that we hold up, that hold us up. Which again, I said that earlier, is like, am I holding it up or is it holding me up? And when you see that it's both, you realize that you're falling. Right? You're supposed to be holding someone. You're supposed to be saving someone from drowning, but actually they're saving you from drowning. So you're both drowning, right? So it really is it's not a good practice.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot more hollow or complicated than it presents itself to be. Like the number of times I feel like I've seen, it given as the solution to one's issues is like kind of.
Yeah, well, and isn't it? I mean, you have a good friend who's very into manifestation, right?
Yes.
And it's very manifestation, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It's very magical thinking. Like, so let's say something and it'll become true, which is, again, is just forcing adequation or mesmerizing yourself into an adequational perception. So all of a sudden, whatever life you've got going on looks exactly as the mantra says it looks. But it took some energy to get there. It took some sort of self-brainwashing. Mantras also just, they feel like that. They feel like really like, let me just like...
hypnotizing.
Yeah, let me beat the hell out of everything in my head until all I hear is this one statement, which feels pretty self-abusive. I mean, if you've ever been in rooms with people chanting mantras, there's an ecstasy to it, but it's a creepy ecstasy. It's like it's self-sacrifice. It's self-negation. It's like sucking up into the statement. And it feels very. I don't know if I use this word, but fascist. Feels very like we are going to.
You have to say it.
Yeah,
the right thing.
yeah. If we say this enough, it will have power. Right?
Yeah. Shall we go on?
Yeah.
19. Arising out of the Platonic interpretation of beings is a mode of representation which in various forms radically rules over the subsequent history of the guiding question and thereby also over Western philosophy as a whole. The determination of the idea as the common turns the separation into a sort of being, and that is the origin of transcendence in its various forms, especially if even the beyond is grasped as being on account of this determination of the idea. Here is also the root of the representation of the a priori.
Yeah, cool paragraph. Arising out of the Platonic interpretation of beings, so we've been talking about the Platonic interpretation of beings, is a mode of representation which in various forms radically rules over the history of philosophy. So we're going to hear what this mode of representation is. The determination of the idea as the common, or what we can all have in common. So, again, the idea of anything is supposed to be something that you and I share. We have the same idea of that couch. It's called the form of the couch, right? So it's the common and it's the community. It's the communal idea that we all share in, apparently. This idea, this determination of the idea as the common turns the separation into a sort of being. Now, the separation, what does that mean? Separation, well, turns, I would say, turns this separation from the common. So if you stray from the common, you step out of the common, or the common becomes separated in any way, then you all of a sudden have this idea of transcendence. So the transcendence is the separation from the common, right? Especially if even the beyond is grasped as being. So the beyond is what is established by the separation, right? Beyond the common. And it's grasped as being on account of this determination of the idea. The idea sets up the ability for the beyond to be seen as being. And here's the root of the representation of the a priori, or essentially the transcendent idea, or the above idea, the idea that does not require empirical knowledge or I guess I would say a logical outlay into the reality of things. It's eternal truths, basically. So from community, from the common, from the communal, we get separation from the communal. We then get the idea of transcendence. We get the idea of a priori. We get the idea of the great beyond, all emerging out of this idea of the common.
So actually being separated from the common is transcendence?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you think of like the transcendent I, right? The transcendent I is separate from the common. So we have shared common forms that we engage in, but my I is unique to me. Your I is unique to you. It's that separates out from the common, and becomes, I don't know, I guess transcendent.
He's actually about to talk a lot more about transcendence, shall we?
Yeah.
Read it.
Yeah.
20. Transcendence is understood in various senses which at the same time are interconnected. A. Transcendence in the ontic sense, one being surpassing all others, or for Christianity, the generator that surpasses generated beings, the creator, and in the very confused use of the word transcendence, the transcendence, as in his magnificent, is God himself, the being that is above and beyond all other beings, the encompassing and thus the universal, the being which needlessly and excessively adding to the confusion is also called being.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean that's
sort what you're saying.
That's sort of what I was saying. Yeah, keep going.
B. Transcendence in the ontological sense refers to the surpassing that resides in the common as such, namely the beingness as the general, categories beyond and prior to beings a priori. Here the relation and the type of distinction remain very unclear. One is satisfied with ascertaining the common and its consequences.
Yeah, so the surpassing that resides in the common.
Wait, you got to talk about A first.
Talk about A?
Yeah, yes, I think so. I think you got to go, yeah.
I mean, so we have various means of transcendence, and one is the sort of idea of the transcendent creator, the generator that surpasses generated beings, the magnificence, the God, the high being, the being that is above all other beings. I mean,
So is it like the special one? Or
yeah. The universal one, the being that is prior to being, the being that is not contingent on being, the cause, the being outside of being, right? Mm-hmm. And that's it's just the being that is separate from being, but yet is that. I mean, that's the whole 2,500 years of talking about what is God. He's the unmoving mover, right? He's like the thing that's outside of the world that got the world going or runs the world, but from the outside, because God can't be in the world because then God's not God. God is like worldly, that's the whole thing. So that's the ontic sense, that there is a being outside of being, and that is typically been called God. Right? And in the ontological sense, it refers to the surpassing that resides in the common. So again, everything is common, but there's something that can surpass the common, can become the individual, can become the beyond. Beingness as the general, the category, the beyond and the prior to. Here the relation and the type of distinction remain very unclear. One is satisfied with ascertaining the common and its consequences. So, what is beyond the common? It's just a kind of a vague sense that there is something beyond the common. It refers to the surpassing that resides in the common as such, namely beingness as the general, categories, beyond and prior to beings, a priori. So the a priori is a world of beingness that is beyond the common. Right?
Yeah.
All right, why don't you read the next one?
Yeah, I think, wow. Transcendence okay, let's see. C, transcendence in the sense of the fundamental ontology of being and time. Here the word transcendence receives again the original meaning, the surpassing as such, grasped as the distinctive feature of Dasein, indicating thereby that Dasein in each case already stands in the open realm of beings. Connected up to this one and thereby determined more precisely is transcendence in the ontological sense, inasmuch as the transcendence pertaining to Dasein is grasped originarily and precisely as an understanding of being. Now, however, since understanding is in turn taken to be thrown projection, transcendence means to stand in the truth of being, of course without at first knowing this or questioning it. Because Dasein as Dasein originally endures the open realm of concealment, we cannot in the strict sense speak of a transcendence of Dasein. In the sphere of this determination, the representation of transcendence in every sense must disappear.
Yeah. So I guess in being and time, there is a fundamental ontology that is practiced that he is linking up with the word transcendence. The word transcendence receives again its original meaning, the surpassing as such, grasped as the distinctive feature of Dasein, indicating thereby that Dasein in each case already stands in the open realm of beings. So Dasein is in a sense transcendent in that it always already stands in the open realm of beings. Connected up to this one and thereby determined more precisely is transcendence in the ontological sense, inasmuch as the transcendence pertaining to Dasein is grasped originally and precisely as an understanding of being. So Dasein's transcendence is its ability to understand being. But since understanding is in turn taken to be thrown projection, transcendence means to stand in the truth of being, of course without first knowing this or questioning. So this transcendence that is Dasein's ability to understand being is because it is thrown projection, it is thrown into being, it exists in the truth of being, and it doesn't at first know this or question this. It just, that's where Dasein resides. And that, in a sense, means that we cannot, in a strict sense, speak of a transcendence of Dasein, because in the sphere of this determination, transcendence, the representation of transcendence must disappear. So we can't really represent Dasein as transcendent in the way we might represent God or the kind of a priori or beyondness of the common being, because Dasein is so deeply embedded and grounded in Bang. It is not transcendent in the kind of traditional way.
Okay. I mean, I'm not fully following, but I wonder if we should finish this little section or...
I think we should finish this section.
Okay,
Yeah,
keep
keep
think
going.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
D. This representation does find frequent employment in epistemological considerations. Beginning with Descartes, these deny that the subject can immediately go out of itself and transcend itself to attain the object, or else they cast doubt on this relation. The introduction of Dasein overcomes even this type of transcendence, for it is thus bypassed right from the start.
Yeah, I mean, this representation, meaning this, the representation of transcendence in Dasein, is involved in some basic epistemological considerations, beginning with Descartes, where they deny that the subject can immediately go out of itself and transcend itself to attain the object. So the subject is stuck with the object. It cannot go out of itself to attain the object. They are in a kind of linked necessity. The introduction of Dasein, I think, essentially overcomes even this type of transcendence, meaning the introduction of Dasein implies that this type of transcendence is not possible. This kind of the subject going out of itself, because Dasein is grounded in Bang. So he's kind of linking that classic definition of the subject being grounded in itself and not being able to go outside of itself to attain the object with the way he views Dasein. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
E. Transcendence always involves departing from known and familiar beings and going out in some way beyond them. From the perspective of the basic question of the truth of being, that amounts to a remaining mired in the mode of inquiry of the guiding question, i.e., in metaphysics. Yet all metaphysics is overcome in the transition to the basic question. This transition, however, must therefore meditate all the more clearly on the forms of Platonism that still hem it in and are unavoidable, even if they determine the transition only as forms which are to be averted.
Yeah, so he sums up by saying transcendence always involves the departing from known and familiar beings. That's that separation. And going out in some way beyond them, that's the journey into the beyond. That's the subject going outside of itself. From the perspective of the basic question of the truth of being, that amounts to a remaining mired in the mode of inquiry of the guiding question, i.e. in metaphysics. So seeking transcendence, assuming transcendence, philosophizing over transcendence keeps one stuck in metaphysics. Yet as we transition to the basic question, which is, I guess, what is being, or what is the truth of being, right? We overcome this metaphysics and we stop looking for transcendence.
I think the guiding question is the truth of being, or is being, and the basic question is being, or as you've called it, the truth of being.
Great. Yeah, so we overcome metaphysics by going at bang, basically. And we meditate on the forms of Platonism just to figure out what forms need to be avoided.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, transcendence, right? Transcendence. It's an old notion. It's a notion that has many manifestations. It's core liberalism. It's intellectualism. It's elitism. It's eternity in life. It's salvation. It's religion. It's the tribe. It's identity. It's everything that is, in a sense, removed from other things. It's the mantra. It's the essence. It's the form. It's power. It's exemption. It's innocence. It's a story. Story is transcendent because it pulls you out of the common and gives you a special arc. So that the addiction to the transcendent, the passion for the transcendent, the project of transcendence is an underlying core form and motive of so much of what liberalism is about. It's to be transcendent. To be transcendent is also an attempt to leave anxiety, to leave life, to go to the beyond, to be above it all, to be away from it all. It's the core of the religious experience. It's the core of the mystical ambition. It's the core of the poetic dream. It's the right of the artist. It's the justice of the just. It's everything that considers itself capable of being outside of everything else. Mm-hmm. And chances are it has its symptoms, like everything does. Right? It has its effects. The compulsion to transcendence is probably very linked to intrusive thoughts. It's very linked to anxiety. It's very linked to mania. It's very linked to hysteria. It's very linked to all kinds of rage and envy and identitarian formations. Identity itself is an attempt to be transcendent by participating in a transcendence. So obviously post-liberalism calls into question this transcendence, as Heidegger is calling us to do. It's to overthrow this metaphysics and going at the basic question and looking at what forms to avoid, what forms should be averted, as he says, and to leave behind this project of transcendence for a project of probably appropriation and involvement and Dasein being thrown projection into the open realm of beings, be a being among beings. Even as we talk about communalism, communism.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So
go ahead.
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, I know it's
common. I was just gonna bring up the common because I feel like in the past the common has been posed and not in more of the identity light, and that's what identity. It's one of the markers of identity, the sameness, the community, etc. So I think that's. But so that's where I didn't have had, or just having a slightly hard time, like seeing, okay, so if transcendence is breaking away, having something special that breaks away from the common, is the goal then to actually be like cool with being common, but the common is maybe not necessarily identity, or is it?
Yeah, I mean that makes me realize. It makes me maybe that this the liberal fetishism for the common is of course a lie.
Yeah.
Because liberals don't like the community, they don't like the common, they don't like commonality. Yeah. Save as a laboratory for the recurring and obsessive implantation of progress. Mm-hmm. And progress is the transcendence of the community. It's the community transcending itself and becoming a better common. So the liberal the liberal fixation on the community is really a liberal fixation on the community transcending itself in the name of liberal progress. Mm-hmm. So that's where transcendence and commonality.
That's well said. And I also think that there's like a, like fear of the common person in a way. In liberalism, I guess at least that's something that I felt was like, the idea is you want to be an intellectual living in an art city, making art and being special. And then like what happens when you like move, to Arizona, have a family,
I don't know
and
what
you're
happens,
common.
And you become common. Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of, which I think has been a mental shift for me to be like, yeah, I'm common. I'm not special.
Right. Liberalism is the project of being special, being transcendent, being uncommon, in the name of guiding the commons. Yeah. So the liberal love of the commons is actually the liberal, and the same with communism. The liberal love of communism is as a form of being that the liberal can lead. Mm-hmm. Because the liberal is uncommon. The only people who are into communism are the people who want to lead communism and not therefore be communists. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be a communist. That's to be common. Mm-hmm. They want to be uncommon communists, which means they want to lead the party. Everybody wants to lead the party. Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone is leading the party if you look at their Facebooks.
Well, yeah. I guess they think they are.
Yeah. So what does it mean to be common?
Well, I'm reminded of the two definitions of democracy, right? The minimalist and maximalist. If we're talking about, in a sense, political beings, right? To be common is to be a member of a democracy, a member of a minimalist democracy who lives according to the outcomes of democracy. Mm-hmm. But that's not liberalism. Liberalism is maximalist democracy, which is to be common is a pejorative, and to be uncommon is to be the maximalist Democrat who is guiding the common to the progressive ideal of the liberal uncommon. So, but I think at a deeper level, you're asking, what is it to live in Arizona and not live in New York City and be common?
Yeah.
And that's the profoundest question of all, isn't it? I think that post.
But I also think there's also something about having kids that feels very common.
Yes, which is why the more liberal you are, the fewer kids you have.
Yeah.
And that's a excuse me, that's part and parcel of liberalism's war on biology, on nature.
Right, that's a good point.
That those things are, to be a breeder is to be common. To be queer is to be uncommon. And the only value is in an uncommonness. I think my
answer. That's a really good point.
My response to that would be, having been an uncommon person in New York City and now being a common person in Arizona, I was and am an artist in both places. That's my profession, that's my ambition, that's my daily activity. And what I realize is that the uncommonness that liberals pursue has nothing to do with art. And that art is something that you make when you're common or when you make when you're uncommon. And in fact, everybody's uncommon and everybody's common, and those categories being maximal identitarianism don't actually work. So, I think that what I have found is that making art as the common is so much more invigorating and feels so much more truthful than making art under the pretense of being the uncommon. I think for me, thinking I was special because I was an artist prevented me from making art. And now that I'm just a common dude who likes to make things, I feel a lot more connected to what I'm making. I feel like what I'm making is a lot more true. I feel like the outer edges of my being are more, and the forms of being that are not even a part of my being are more present in my art. I feel more in communication with a vaster number of beings than I did when I had the pretense of being uncommon. I think uncommonness is pursued under the belief that it's going to give you access to some uncommon knowledge, and it actually doesn't. It just gives you access to the common knowledge of the uncommon, which I would say, I'm not sure I'm prepared to say why right now, but which, because it's a negative lifestyle, it's really it's a non, it's an anti, is much narrower and limited and resource poor as a field of knowledge than the common. What's amazing about post-liberal commonality and abandoning the fetish of the uncommon is that when you enter the commons, you realize just how absolutely vast they are and how narrow and limited the uncommon was. But liberalism is, remember, it's a defense system. It's a shrinkage. It's a reversion. It's an avoidance. It's a fear response.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be a self-internment. So this idea of the uncommon being a gateway to a vast reservoir of truth and imagination is absolutely false. And that's what we see in the art of the uncommon now, is that it's become so shrill, so narrow, so tritely identitarian, so out of touch with the common, that its irrelevance is embarrassing. Art has abandoned the world. Art has abandoned the actual commons. Art has abandoned nature. Art has abandoned the infinite. And it's become a masturbating uncommon.
Yeah, I think that point about the common in a way being an acceptance of nature, or the biological imperative, as you've called it, or just sort of all those sort of things that one naturally wants to do, which liberalism has taught us is not, that those aren't A, good things to want to do, or B, actually what we want to do. They make it very complicated and inverted and twisted. Actually just kind of going back to that as a basis that's cool.
Yeah, I was thinking actually this morning, I have 4 very strong, let's call them feminist women in my life, or have had. One is my mother. I say have had because my mother is kind of out of the picture now. But I've got, my relatives. Let's say, I'm going to say who they are. My daughters, your mother, and my mother, right?
Oh, so feminists, like political activist.
You know what a feminist is.
Okay, sorry. I was like, me?
Oh,
sorry, just kidding. JK.
Yeah. And I was thinking the other day that every single one, when notified of the coming or the emergence of a new life form, meaning one of our babies,
children,
groaned.
I know.
Every single one, at every single announcement,
I know.
Groaned. Like I told them that I couldn't get a plumber for another year, so they had to go out and roto-rooter the sewer line.
Major
groan,
downer.
I mean, it's even worse. It's groaned I was I don't know. Tell him I was voting for Trump. Basically, oh God, not that. What are you? Oh, jeez. Ugh. I mean, it's just astonishing, and we're talking mothers. You couldn't, if you'd go back a few hundred years and told a mother that there were mothers in the future groaning
about having grandchildren.
Having grandchildren, they would think you were describing some kind of nut house.
Yeah.
My daughter's okay. I get it. That's more of a sibling rivalry thing. But our mothers. So my point is, and nobody. This is not news to anybody. It's all over the internet. That liberalism, the antinatalism of liberalism, is a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
No doubt, a real thing.
Yeah.
And it is, I would say, a symptom of transcendence as transcendence addiction.
Yeah.
Now they're going to say, no, it's the climate, or it's bringing children into this world. Well, no, it's actually just trying to be to transcend all of that and live in a kind of what I call a contemporary nunnery.
Yeah. It's a monastic.
Yeah, which is really transcendence in the form of real estate and dormitories.
Yeah. It's like it's still, I think, again, I was very trained as a liberal. So I think it's still it's just it's weird to just be like, I'm a normal person. I don't know. I'm not sure how to say it, but like, it's like, I've like, it's been almost a fear to be like, oh, I'm moving somewhere outside of New York City. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it in that context so much. There's some book that's something about like something of the working class. And I was just like, oh, can I even read that? Like, is it going to like mess me up by reading about the like,
yeah, and you even come to see that when you move to New York City, and then that was one of the reasons I left. It was just like you start to see what a drive to transcendence that is. It's just such
as the new mayor shows in a way.
Yeah. How so?
New York thinks it is so special that it is going to be able to have
the international law thing.
Or just like that it can do that in its sphere. Communism will work or something. I mean, just that idea that like
yes.
We know
its
more
destiny
than you know.
is to have a form of government and
we know
economy that's different than the rest of the country.
Yeah, and we know more than you know. We're smarter. We're better. We can make it work.
That's right.
We can see he's the best.
Right. We can bring it back to life. Yeah, that's right. We can do the impossible. We will transcend all the facts.
Yeah,
and create utopia, a transcendent utopia. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And that specialness that you've.
But you feel it. It's real when you live there. You're like, wow, I'm special. God. I mean, you used to actually, we both have said that like part of the success of being an artist in New York City, just if you can just say you're an artist in New York City, you feel special.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you don't even have to make art.
Exactly.
You just have to sort of like piddle around, go to openings.
Yeah, and we've talked about how leaving has made us both look at that.
Oh, and how leaving has just completely made me see and make and realize art way beyond what I could do there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a trick. It's a fake. It's fake. It's like
it's also you're talking to a very specific small audience there, which again the sort of election makes clear is such a like small targeted audience.
The thing is,
when you leave, you got to talk to someone else.
The thing you used to have to do that.
Yeah, right, because there was no internet, yes.
Because there was no means of distribution other than being there.
Yes.
It was called a media capital.
Yeah.
Media capital. And from there, everything was broadcast outward. So you were either on the giving or the receiving end of culture. Mm-hmm. That has completely collapsed. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
However, New York, in fine form, is going to hold on to its identity as that till the final, the final blip of the final piece of data that somehow proves that it is special. Mm-hmm. And it is so not, it has lost its specialness. It's actually just a big city now. Mm-hmm. Which I think is a lot of the psychosis that we see in New York now, which is that,
trying to hang on to its position as the cultural center.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to maintain its transcendence.
Yeah.
Its transcendence has been, is being challenged greatly.
Yeah.
And it is going to, honestly, kill everything. It will kill everything in order to maintain its transcendence. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the Mamdani saying that in New York City we follow international law. Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate statement of transcendence. We are transcending even America. Mm-hmm. We're transcending Washington, D.C. We're transcending the whole country. We're transcending who we are and what we are. Mm-hmm. We're transcending where we are. We're transcending the law. Mm-hmm. And we're connecting with international law, which is transcendent over national, state, and city law. Mm-hmm. And that's the law we adhere to. Yeah. We adhere to a transcendent law because we are the transcendent ones.
So, okay, sorry, finish your thought. I had a slightly different direction I want to ask.
Please.
But if you want to keep
No,
going.
please. I'm done. I could
So,
talk endlessly about that, but it would just be nothing but bile. Go ahead.
so what about, like, because I know we've talked about this in much earlier episodes, but this idea that you are special, that our children, like to say to your child that you're special. And is that okay to say? I mean, is that
We've talked about this in other episodes?
Yeah, because I think I can't remember exactly, but
Is it okay to say to your child that you're special?
yeah, because I feel like growing up I had a bit of this idea that was like not necessarily special, but I wanted to be special.
Oh,
and
my
then
gosh.
and then I remember that I can't remember if you said it or what, but like I liked how you had some approach towards our children that was like they're very special. Of course they're special, but like yeah, how does that fit into it? Can you be special in this context? In the common context, can you be special? Or maybe the word choice isn't really.
I saw a post on X today. It said, I'm going to find it here. White people can have a basic, positive sense of identity without needing to rise up and lay low people from other backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
I won't get into that post, which is bullshit, but you can be special just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would use the word special with my kids. It's a little cheesy, but I'm invested in celebrating my children's inclinations and traits and ambitions and talents, right? And helping them find the things that they really groove with, that are unique to them, right? And celebrating those paths and those inclinations. You can call that special. I'm not going to tell my children that they're special above and beyond other people. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to like instill in them an idea of superiority or I don't know, innate transcendence, I guess.
Yeah, but isn't that like what gives self-esteem and self-importance? I mean, I know that's a liberal perspective I'm saying, but
Well, like with that tweet, what I mean is I don't think to be who you are does not necessarily mean you are in a status relationship with others.
yeah.
Like you will be in a status relationship with others. Mm-hmm. That will occur. People will spend all their lives and all your life determining in what way you are better or worse than other people. Like that's going to go on. I would say instead of trying to tell my children they're special, you know what I want to do? I want to give my children that killer instinct. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to give them. Mm-hmm. Meaning I want to say to them, don't ask yourself if you're special. Don't play the game of like, am I better than everyone at this or that, or what, could I be better? No. Ask yourself this: what do you have that killer instinct for? Mm-hmm. And how can you go there? Mm-hmm. What is it? What do you have that killer instinct for? And that killer instinct, by the way, that's fine. Find that, do it, get it, go, take it. Mm-hmm. Right? Don't ask if you're special. Mm-hmm. Find your killer instinct, find what it is for, and go. Because the more you ask yourself how special you are and obsess over whether you're special or not, the more time you're wasting.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I mean, I think the killer instinct idea is also about like them trusting their judgments, their instincts.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think that if finding the killer instinct is saying, you know, you have it. Go trust that you have it.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Go for it all the way. Don't question it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And let everybody else decide if you're special. Because if you have and trust and know your killer instinct and go for it, your specialness will be determined for you. And that's the other thing I just find about self-esteem. I'm not interested in self-esteem. I'm interested in other esteem. I want to be esteemed by others. I'm not interested in esteeming myself. I mean, maybe that's what being an artist is, I suppose. I want my work to be admired by other people. And so my relationship to my work is as a pathway for my killer instinct.
Yeah.
So that's the special. Does that?
Yeah, I think that answer. I think that. Yeah.
Because I think, interestingly enough, I would say that I'm surprised to hear you say that you didn't feel special when you were raised. Because I would think that your folks would instill a sense of specialness in you. But apparently they didn't. And I would also say that in the absence of that specialness, I don't think they also didn't instill necessarily a killer instinct in you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you don't have one, because we get things from people other than our parents, and they come up out of us genetically. But maybe you're only feeling wistful at the lack of specialness, because you also don't feel like you were given a killer instinct.
Yeah.
Which I think, by the way, you actually have.
Yeah. I think so too.
I think you got it from your aunt or something. No, seriously.
I think I just don't trust it. I didn't like quite learn to go after it or like kind of hear it and believe it or something. I have the propensity probably.
That's because I don't think your parents would look kindly on the phrase killer instinct.
Yeah, no, just hearing you say it, I'm like, that's a little aggressive.
That's a little killing people with instincts. Yeah.
But that's, I mean, in a way, in the liberal words, so in a way what you're talking about is like, it's I don't know, self-trust, or it's just like believing in like what you're thinking is what you're doing, that you write, that you know it without having to question it, without having to get approval from somebody, without your therapist needing to say it's okay. It's like that you just have it in you. Which I think is, or without your parents needing to approve, I guess.
I think liberalism is special and post-liberalism is killer instinct.
Yeah, right.
And I would say that they're linked up with identitarianism, because special is an identity. It's instilling an identity of being special in a child. Yeah, well,
and it's the idea that like you're important, that kind of thing. That you're.
It's all identity. That's all identity.
Yeah.
It's all identity. Yeah. I don't want to instill identities in my children. I want to encourage drives. I think that's different. I think in post-liberalism, we encourage drives. We encourage clear thinking. We encourage ambition. We encourage passion. We encourage desire. We encourage the full flowering of talents or of dreams and skills. It's not about identity. It's about doing. Identity is about being. Doing is about doing. So liberals are all obsessed with your identity, what you are, what you call yourself, and that becomes your project, is working on your identity. In post-liberalism, we work on what we do. We work on our projects. We work on our craft. We work on our ambitions. We have our killer instinct. We work on dominating and realizing and executing, which is the post-identity, post-liberal way.
Yeah.
And that's anathema to liberalism, because liberalism is about everybody being the same, everybody crushing their instincts, everybody, sort of only having identities, which in a sense are non-doing, neutered, static forms of being that are just representational, and everybody joining in and having the same, being allies with each other through their identities. F that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
All right, I guess that's it. It's late. It's been a long one.
It is.
Yeah, this is a big one. All right, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us for the Leaping Choya podcast. For more information, visit leapingchoya.com and be sure and follow us on socials. Until next time.